Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Essay. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei become a demigod? Part 1. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Ria's tea will be ready in a minute, then we can have lunch, also should be talking about the prospect. Oh, perfect, tea with lunch is great. You got the intel report finished, so we should discuss it before we go pull the trigger on anything. The decision weighed heavily on her mind. Well, hear what we know so far about Issei, age 16, second year with average grades. He's friends with the perverted duo of Mitsuda and Motohama, who are also in his class, however he isn't as open as the others are. While all of that was easy enough to get from Sona and general school chatter, Kaneko has reported about his life outside of school. Apparently, he lives with his father mainly, his mother is apparently working between Japan and Greece, and she is scheduled to be back in Japan soon. His father, on the other hand, works as a businessman for a tech conglomerate here in Kuo. Other than that, Kaneko agrees with you that he does have a scared gear. Akeno read the report. She knew the report was accurate but could never understand why he hung out with those other two people. Was Kaneko able to identify if the gear is a dragon nature? Ria's replied while grabbing her teacup. Unfortunately, she was not able to narrow down if it was a dragon-based gear, or not only that she was able to sense one. I walked past him a couple times. While he definitely has a sacred gear, however, I was unable to tell if it was a dragon nature. Akeno went to get the teapot to pour more tea for the two of them. Ria's let out a quiet breath. I know bringing somebody into our way of life is not a good idea unless we absolutely have to, but I will have Kiba bring him to the clubroom after school tomorrow. If all of the information is correct and his sacred gear isn't something of Longinus quality, I doubt he will take more than 2 pawns at the most. Knock knock knock. Ria's and Akeno were startled by the knock at the door, but ultimately Ria's replied. Come in. Afternoon, but you Kaneko should be arriving soon as well. Said a blonde man. Kiba, perfect timing, after school today bring Issei to the clubroom, I'm going to ask him to join our club. As you wish, Butchu. Kiba replied with a slight bow. It should be fun to see how he fares. Akeno said while putting her hand over her mouth. After school. Excuse me, is Issei here? Everybody turned to see Kiba in the doorway. Oh my god, it's Kiba. Does my hair look good? Is my makeup perfect? Were a few of the things that were said when Kiba entered the classroom. Wait, why would Kiba want to know if Haidu was here? Replied a girl with pink glasses and brown twin tails. Kiryu got a point, Issei, you got some explaining to do. Said Mitsuda. Hell, if I would know, why would that pretty boy want me to begin with? Kiba, would your business with Issei happen to be about that exclusive club, the Occult Research Club? Asked Motohama. Miss Gremory wishes to speak to him about what I do not know the details. All I know is I am to escort him to the clubhouse. He replied to the girl. Issei. Yelled Mitsuda and Motohama, what did you do to garner Ria's Gremory attention? Guys, you know about as much about this as I do as to why she wants to see me. However, let's go pretty boy, let's get this over with. Quick trip. You know, finally being inside this building, it looks quite better on the inside than it does on the outside. Commented Issei. I've maintained the building as well as I can, but it was in a quite good shape before we move in as a club. However, we are here. Knock knock knock, Butchu, I have arrived with Haidu, Issei. Please come in. Ria's voice was heard from behind the door. Haidu, Issei, please take a seat. Said Ria's. So this is the most elusive club at school, contains Udo Kiba, the school pretty boy that every girl wants their hands on. Kaneko Taoju, everybody's favorite first-year loli, who, Akeno Himejima, one of the 2 great ladies. And Ria's Gremory, the other of the 2 great ladies, and every male on campus love obsession. So what can this lowly pervert do for you today? Well, as flattering as that was, I do have some questions for you. Do you believe in the supernatural? I believe some of the stories of legends may have had some merit to them, but do I believe in them completely? No, I don't. Why do you ask? What I told you, the supernatural is quite real, and I am a devil, a descendant of Gremory from the Ars Gosha. I would have to say that you're crazy, and that's kinda sad because you are quite beautiful. Well, then how about this? Ria's unfurl her wings, and following that so does Akeno, Kaneko and Kiba. Do you believe me now that I'm a devil? Well, then I get your good looks are devilish, so what's next, going to tell me that magic is real? Butchu, will you let me handle this? She had a smile on her face that no man could resist. Very well Akeno, just don't go too far. She gave the order for a demonstration, but knew Akeno might get out of hand. Lightning begins to gather in Akeno's hands, all while you can hear cracks and pop. She then shoots a small blast near Issei head, missing him, but striking the wall behind him. Do you believe that magic is real now? Yes, I do now. Said Issei with a straight face. Besides that, show what do you want, because I doubt it was to show me that all creepy bedtime stories when I was young were real now, let alone magic. So what was that saying? Oh yes, make a deal with the devil. Cute phrasing, but before I tell you what I want I need to tell you a story. Long ago there was a war between the three factions of Christianity. The angels led by the God of the Bible, the fallen angels who fell from grace, and us devils. The war lasted for many years leading to a deadlock, however one day during that war the three factions called a ceasefire because of an event. Two dragons decided to rampage throughout the battlefields of the war, Ddraig the Red Dragon Emperor and Albion the White Dragon Emperor. Their battles caused the three factions to fight them and eventually killed them, but not without a massive loss. After the war was over the God of the Bible created items for humans known as sacred gear. These items can range from a common leg or arm enhancing power, all the way up to what was dubbed Longinus class gears. These Longinus class sacred gears are one of a kind, and two of them were made with both the souls of Ddraig and Albion. And that leads me to today, and why I called you here. I believe you have one of these Longinus class gears. So if I do have one of these sacred gears you speak of so highly, why do you care so much? We devils have a reincarnation system. When I said earlier that we are all devils I should reiterate that fact. Irias Gremory was born a devil of the house of Gremory, Akeno Kaneko and Kiba were reincarnated with what we call the evil pieces. The three nod when Issei looks around confirming Ria's statement all while Ria summons their pieces. The evil pieces are a technological marvel of our society. They have been around for about 600 years, but they allow the owner of the pieces to reincarnate somebody as a devil into a peerage. They were shaped into the style of a chessboard. One king, that would be me, one queen who would be Akeno, two rooks Kaneko, has one, two knights Kiba, has one of those, two bishops and 8 pawns. Rooks are high physical strength, high defense, but low speed. Knights are the opposite with them having high speed, but low strength and defense. Bishops have increased magical but low strength and defense, and finally the queen being a mix of all three, with none of the downsides. Pawns are the most special of the pieces as they may start off weak, but they can choose to become a rook, knight, bishop or queen on the battlefield. Explained Riaz while Issei was thinking about what would happen. Riaz quickly interrupted his thoughts. Now I know what you're thinking, right? Why become a devil? One of the best parts about becoming a devil is you get to live nearly forever. Well, we don't know how long you will live as only the eldest devils that are still alive never died to old age, only they fell in combat. I'm gonna have to interrupt you here. So why do you really want me as a member of your peerage? In Devil Society, we have what's known as rating games. These games I plan to win and gain fame and glory. With fame and glory those who are reincarnated can climb up a ladder to the rank of high-class devil. Sure, you start in a low-class devil, then medium, the finally high class, but once you do work up to that rank, you will be awarded evil pieces yourself and will be able to have a peerage of your own. Once you have your pieces you might even get your own harem. Riaz was cut off when Issei heard harem. Harem, you said if I become a high-class devil I can have a harem, let's do this. Proclaimed Issei with urgency like this was the most important thing in the world to ever happen in his life. Well, that was easier than expected, said Riaz while hearing Akeno laugh in the background. Kiba sighed, and Kaneko didn't have a care in the world. Are you absolutely sure about this? Once we do this there is no turning back. Oh yeah, definitely, let's do this. Best case I got an ancient dragon spirit like you were talking about, the worst case it's something lame. Still, the living forever sounds cool as hell. Very well, then lay down on the floor near the door and we can do the reincarnation process. Issei followed her order and did as such while Riaz grabbed her pawn pieces. She kneeled down to place a pawn on his chest, but Issei said with a happy face, you know I can see up your skirt from here, right? Riaz only replied I know. Issei didn't know what to say about her blatant disregard for giving him a view to behold. All he could do was smile from ear to ear and give her a thumbs up. Once she placed one pawn on his chest, a magic circle appeared under him and chanted I Riaz Gremory order you. Hi to Issei, you shall become my pawn and rejoice in your newfound life. After the chant was recited everybody looked at Issei only to see the soul pawn still on his chest. On a scale of 1 to 10 is this a good or bad thing that this is still here? Issei was worried as the piece was still there. Well, that depends on your definition of bad. Don't worry though, I have a total of 8 pawns, but let's try 2 pawns this time. Riaz then recites the chant again and gets the same result. Well, you're stronger than 2 pawns, let's try 3. Another chant, another failure. But a failure of 3 pawns, you are stronger than knight who is also worth 3, let's try this another way. I'm going to add more pawns during the chant to see if you can get this to work. Riaz starts the chant I Riaz Gremory order you. Hi to Issei, you shall become my pawn. During that time she adds more pawns for a total of 5, well the pawns give no reaction and rejoice the 6th and 7th pawn are placed and still no reaction in your newfound life. Her 8th and final pawn flies to his chest and all 8 pawns sink into him. Once the ritual was finished Riaz was about to speak but was interrupted by a blinding light that surrounded Issei. What's causing this light? It's so bright, said Riaz while everybody else looked away. Once the light died down what everybody saw they were dumbstruck. Akeno, get me that book on sacred gears now. On Issei's left arm was a red gauntlet that covered his fingers up to his elbow with a green jewel on the back of his hand. Two major spikes that protrude out the back of the gauntlet on the top side of the forearm. You know exactly what this gauntlet is, child. Everybody looked in awe as they heard a voice that they had not heard from ever. CC Secretary stuttered in awe while everybody's jaws were near the floor when they heard the booming voice. The one and only my name is Ddraig, the Red Dragon Emperor. I was expecting my host here to unlock the gear, but that final push, all he needed was to become a devil, and the gauntlet is unlocked in its full form. This host does score quite well so far, though I must go back to sleep. Speaking to you right after being awakened is taxing. Partner, I will speak to you later when I have more strength from my long wait. The beep was that? Yelled Issei in fright. Quite obvious from the ominous and deep voice that was Ddraig, the Red Dragon Emperor, that dragon I spoke about earlier, and you are the holders of one of the 13 Longinus, the booster gear. Riaz explained with a slight voice of seduction, you will go far in our society. With training power will come, and with power will come women. I think I'm going to go home for today. I've had enough weird shit for one day. Issei stood up and grabbed his bag and before he walked out the door. Oh, don't forget that you're now a member of the Occult Research Club and we will see you tomorrow after school. Riaz said while looking to everybody else after the door closed. So that went better than expected, don't you think? Pervert has such a powerful gear, fate must be cruel, Kaneko replied with a monotone voice while looking for more candy. I must say having such a strong gear, let alone a dragon, makes me want to take him all for myself, Riaz. Akeno with a playful manner. Please keep your sadomasochistic fun off the poor kid for a while. I bet he is already freaking out internally about that fact that all the monster from Legends, still though he accepted way too easily. While Riaz went back to her desk, then Kiba finally had some to say about the situation. Unlike the rest of you who were already members of this world when I came into this world, I didn't take it too well. When Kiba made his point, both Akeno and Kaneko were looking down at the floor. Now don't get your hopes up, we just need to make sure it's not horrible for him. Riaz's remark tried to cheer everybody up. Don't you think he accepted all too easily though? I mean, sure, you hooked him with the harem idea, but there's no way he became a devil just on that reason. Akeno's point was on target and everybody thought about it. Well, it wouldn't be hard for Kiba to have one as all the girls flock to you, but you don't have one. Riaz's remake made Kiba blush. Well, we have work for today, plus I need to get his stuff set up for tomorrow, let's get to contracts. Paper went flying everywhere after Riaz finished speaking. One of it contained today's contracts, another were for Issei Underworld's acceptance. Oh, and Riaz, if you do that, make sure it's genuine. Akeno said while teleporting away to a contract. Issei walking home. Where is my phone? Mumbled Issei to himself while walking towards a bridge. It's in your bag, Ddraig said in Issei's head. Oh, right, we can talk after I call my mom. Issei stopped on the bridge and reached for his phone. Let's see, oh boy, it's almost dead. Well, contacts list, let's see, AP Arkansas, why do I have her in my phone again? She's crazy. Whatever, Athbah's dad, no, he should be home. Dem free Gabhep, I need to talk to him later about something. Her Hesso, come on Lily mom, oh perfect. Ring ring ring, hello, spoke his mother from the phone. Hello mother, he replied. So Issei, are you calling about that? She asked him. Yes, tell him that it started. I'm in like Flynn. You just met her, there are rules you can't be breaking. She was cut off by Issei. I'm in like Flynn, but not in like Flynn. He said. Issei, you're retarded. You joined your peerage, right? She asked with a strict voice. Yes, and you two are not having sex, correct? She continued with the questions. Yes was all he could say. Good, I will tell him that it started and he can notify everybody else. Just remember all the rules and you will be fine. Okay, by the way, your father didn't lose his phone, did he? No, he has it, why do you ask? Tell him when you see him to watch his phone, he will know. Okay, but that was too much information, he said with a laugh as well. It's only natural, what can I say? Also, some of the girls are sad that you're missing. Oh, I bet they are, and so am I, but if this works out it's gonna to be sweet. Hey, I have to go, I have other things to take care of. Talk to you later, sweetie. As Issei ended the call, he was halfway home and he came to a bridge and noticed he crossed a magic barrier. Excuse me? Said a mysterious voice. Yes, how can I help you? Issei finally saw the mysterious voice. It was a beautiful girl, black hair, black skirt with a red jacket and bow, and a P emblem above her left breast. Please go out with me. She said while bowing. Black hair, not bad, great body, another plus, but those violet eyes definitely not natural, almost supernatural, shall we say. Issei go close to her and inspected her but backed away. So tell me, Fallen, you have best have a real good reason as to why a fallen angel is in Kuo. This is Devil's territory, and I highly doubt Azazel sent anyone here. He would have made a formal inquiry. Well, I'm waiting for an answer. So you know about the supernatural, well then killing you will be even better. I guess before killing you I could tell you my real name, it's Rainer, and I will be the last girl you will ever meet before I kill you. The newly named Rainer said with a condescending voice while spreading her wings and jumping into the air. A change of outfit was had to a leather strap-like Bonbeep suit that barely covered her lower region, let alone her beep. Now die weakling. She gathers a spear of light in her hand, but while light energy was normally white, hers was a shade of purple. Once she threw it she thought her job was done. Issei backhanded the spear and the shattered into a million little light particles. How do you break my spear with just your bare hands? Rainer was beyond pissed at this point. Simple, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret. Issei closed his eyes for a moment, and when he reopened his pupils were not round like humans, they were brown slits of a dragon, and out of his back emerged two giant wings of a dragon red on the structure with a grey membrane to fill the rest of the wings out. You know, this isn't the first time I have fought a fallen angel before, let alone a pure one. A deep crimson aura started to appear around Issei. You know, it was quite nice of you to put up a barrier, but I had to strengthen it. He flapped his wings one time and made a powerful gust behind him while propelling him forward and punched Rainer in the stomach while knocking many of her feathers off her wings. What was that hit? Nobody has ever hit me that hard before. She was on the ground grasping her stomach. I'll give you a choice, Fallen. You can leave this city, or I can kill you and tell Azazel why I had to kill one of his girls. After the ultimatum was given, he retracted his wings and closed his eyes so they would return to normal. If I leave, what will you say to your devil master? She knew her choice but needed to cover her trail as she was now. It was not in her favor. Oh, so you have enough brain cells to know that I am a devil? Well, my lips are sealed. Gremory will not know you were here. As long as I never see you again, you will live to die another day. He gave her a look that forced her choice. Very well, I'm leaving. She said. A purple magic circle appeared under her as she disappeared into nothing. Partner, you know she not going to leave, right? That's the plan, Ddraig. She plotting something, I know for sure. Azazel didn't send her here to kill me, that's pointless, so we're going to leave some clues around for Ms. Gremory to play detective and see how this plays out, all while we get to play the spectator for once. With a smile on his face, he punched the air, breaking the flimsy barrier that was set up. Well, there is enough evidence between the magic residue and her feathers, this should be fun. Issei left the area where the fight took place, but with the breaking of the barrier, members of the supernatural were alerted something happened. Home. Ugh, I have so much homework to do and it's already late. Issei said while walking in the door. After he took off his shoes, he a voice. You back later than normal. This was Issei father Goru Haidu, typical worker in Japan. In the age range of the 30 to 40s, he looked good for his age. He had the same hair and eye color as his son, unlike his mother. Yeah, I'm home today was finally the day she took her with the recruitment process. So from here on out, no more mentions of magic or who mother is, don't need to tip her off. Issei rattled off the rules like he's been down this route before. Yeah, I know how this works. His father replied, confirming they have done this before. Oh, also two things. Most one, Riaz will most likely be here later tonight, so don't flip out in the morning, and two, call mother. I'm assuming you spoke to her earlier? Asked Goru. Yep, I called her to tell Beard for days that it's all started. Issei and his father both laughed at the Beard joke. That's a nice beard he has, time will do that, unlike yours. His father laughed at him as Issei was unable to grow a beard, no matter how hard he tried. Don't preach about it, you know why I can't grow one, blame mother and Ddraig. Once he mentioned the dragon, the boosted gear appeared on his arm. Don't blame me, all I did was take your eyes as you requested. How was I supposed to know there was drawback considering you're the first host ask for it? Once he spoke his wisdom, the gear disappeared. That still freaks me out that your arms talks. You would think that over 17 years I would be used to it, but no, it still will always be weird. As his father said that he went to grab his drink. That's nothing compared to a bath of flames and him being in your dreams when you're 5. Also, you married a supernatural bombshell, and yet a dragon talking freaks you out. To be fair, I didn't who she really was until after the fact. Some things happened, we went on some dates, took a huge swing after about a year, let the marriage proposal rip, and she agreed, but then I met her father, and well, that was an eye-opener. After drinking his drink, he thought about food. What do you want to do for dinner? I don't know, anything sounds good, but I have quite a bit of homework to do and prepare for Gremory to come over as well if the notes on her are correct. So I'm gonna head on upstairs and don't forget to call her. Yeah, I think I'm gonna order some Chinese, I'll call you when it's here, or you will smell it or hear it, you know. A small chuckle was given. Back at the bridge. During a contract, Akeno felt a massive spike in magic power. However, once the contract was completed, she went and investigated. What she found she was not a fan of, and she immediately called Riaz via magic circle. Riaz, we have a problem, come to my location. I'm here, what's the? Oh, I see. She saw what Akeno was holding and was all over the floor. She was surprised to see black feathers all around. Those aren't yours, are they? She knew she shouldn't ask, but had to make sure just in case. No, Akeno replied with a tone of not wanting to talk about. During my contract, I felt a huge magic spike and I just got here and saw all these filthy feathers on the floor. Her voice was like venom when she spoke of the feathers. This is not good. I knew there were some fallen angels snooping around the city, but who attacked them is the better question. She started thinking about the possibilities of what could have happened before she was interrupted. Is there something missing from here? And that would be? Riaz asked with a genuine wonder of what was missing. There's no blood and no stench of a corpse around here, only the feathers. Akeno pointed out. The lack of a corpse makes sense, but the fact that there is no blood is quite puzzling. Go call Sona and ask her if any of her group has had a run-in with fallen angels. I need to take care of our newest member. Very well, I'll tell Kiba and Kaneko that we're done for the night as well. Once the work was agreed upon, both of the girls teleported away for the night. When Riaz arrived at the end of her teleportation, she found herself in her newest pawn's bedroom. She looked around the room and saw a normal room, a bed, desk, closet full of clothes and a dresser, but what she didn't see surprised her the most. You would think for as much of a perverty as there a lack of pornography in this room. She whispered to herself. She also noticed that Issei was already asleep. Well, might as well get to sleep as well, she continued as she undressed. Once undressed, she folded her shirt and laid her skirt on top of the shirt, then her panties and finally her bra, and placed her clothes on his desk. As Riaz was about to crawl into bed, she hesitated as this was the first time she was to sleep in a bed with a man before. Nevertheless, she crawled into bed with him. First, she tried to just sleep next to him, but that didn't work so well. Eventually he rolled over, and he felt he was extremely warm. This made her want to hold him like a hug pillow. She eventually fell asleep with her new body pillow, but unbeknownst to her, others knew that she was in bed with Issei. Issei, on the other hand, was in the depths of the boosted gear with Ddraig. So what's the training for tonight? Asked Issei while sitting down in front of the enormous dragon. Your physical aspect has been taken care of quite well by your stepfather and other trainers. However, your dragon fire hasn't been progressing quite as well, unlike your use of normal magic. As Ddraig told Issei of tonight's work, he knew what he was in for: quite a bit of pain. Dragon fire is such a pain in the ass to use, even with a change to dragon-style lungs. His complaints were meat on deaf ears, as he knew Ddraig was going to make him do it. Well, get used to it. How else do you expect to beat the White One? You know, for being one of the strongest and strangest hosts, you're too much of a pacifist. Hey, I am far from a pacifist. I have no problem with fighting, no thanks to bones and robes. It's just I'd rather be with hot chicks than fighting all the time. And whose problem is that? Seriously, you're asking that? Issei was puzzled as Ddraig knew why, but still questioned whose problem it is. My first issue stems from you and your eternal death struggle over some dumb shit. Hell, do you even remember what it was that started that fight? Maybe it's been thousands of years that I have been in a soul without a body. Yet you get us to fight over it. No wonder why we have such an odd rep between the factions. Issei was getting riled up. Second, I got these sweet powers that apparently I'm the only one of the extended bloodline to get them all of the power from mother. Supernatural girls are fun to be with, yet it all stems to the third problem. Tell that to the retard who's using you as a body pillow right now. Ddraig was uninterested in what most of Issei would say, but a wide smile was on his face when he said that. And third, what do you say about Red? Issei was dumbstruck by what he was just told. The heiress of Grimory joined you in bed about 2 or so hours ago outside time, and she is using you as a body pillow. Right now it's kinda funny. She the second female to use you as a body pillow, however, it's kinda hard to call the other normal. You're right, she is older than mother, but still those were some weird times. Issei was having a moment of remembering a couple years ago. Wait, don't get me sidetracked on my rant. Like I was saying, that bones and robes want to kill me because of you and mother, so then it loops back to having to fight for no reason. Issei let out a deep breath after he got his rant off his chest. Are you done bitching about stuff you can't control? The dragon asked him as he was getting ready to do something. Yeah, I am. It's always nice to complain about that stuff because mother will hit me if I complain about these things to her. Issei knew he was going to be hit by his mother if he complained about that problem, but what he did not expect was Ddraig hit him and flicked him away like a chunk of dirt. As he recovered from the strike, he only asked one thing. I earned that, didn't I? He knew the answer, but had to ask anyway. Ahahaha, Ddraig rode from his question. Damn right you did earn that one, partner. Also, it's going to be morning soon. I guess training will be held off for later. I will leave you to deal with the girl. He knew what position the boy was in, but figured it would be better for Issei to find out rather than tell him. Scene change. The light was shining into Issei's bedroom, waking up both him and Riaz, but for Issei, it wasn't as pleasant. Why do I feel like I just went to bed? Issei woke up from his sleep in a near delirious state, only to find that there was, in fact, a woman in his bed with him. Hello there, Issei, did you enjoy my beep as a treat through the night? Riaz was embarrassed to ask the question she did, but considering the position the two were intertwined in, it was appropriate. Beep treat, what are you talking about? He asked her. No wait, don't answer that. Why are we in the missionary position? Did we have sex? And don't remember it because you're totally naked. At this point Issei was freaking out as he might have already broken the first rule of his mission. He got out from between her legs, but not before admiring the view. No, we did not have sex, we are still virgins. She said, but as she closed her legs and rubbed her knees together before retelling what happened. You see, I came to check on you as there was an incident last night and I went to make sure you were alright. By the time I got here you were already asleep and I decided to sleep here for the night. During the night you rolled over and kinda got to where you woke up. She said while recalling a very embarrassing story for her. However, before her embarrassment was over, both heard the door open and a woman appeared. She was taller than your average Japanese woman as she was 5 ft 10 inches, blue eyes and blonde locks of hair and a breast size that rivaled a keno. Beauty radiated off the woman in a near supernatural way, but Riaz wasn't too worried about that. Issei, get up, you're going to be late for school. Once she saw Riaz she was excited and yelled down the hall to her husband, honey, Issei is in bed with a foreign girl. All that was heard after that was a woohoo, I got a foreign girl and now Issei does, it must be in the blood. Riaz was extremely embarrassed by this point as her face was as red and her hair. Well, get dressed you two, I'll have some food ready before school. After the intrusion, Riaz got out of bed and grabbed her clothes to get dressed. She put on her panties first. Issei, on the other hand, was watching the show as she reached for her bra and put it on while she said, come here and do me up. Well, don't mind if I do. He walked over to her and put his hands on her hips and rubbed her backside, moving his hands to her bra. How many hooks, princess? The second set, please. She blushed more from the princess comment. You know I enjoyed sharing a bed. She said while getting the rest of her uniform on. Oh well, please join me every night. I spoke to Ddraig last night and well, it turns out before I joined just possessing a locked boosted gear made me part dragon. So, I have no problem being your cuddly dragon. He went to his closet to get a new uniform. You know I could clean out some space in the closet here if you wanted to take up that offer. He looked back at Riaz while getting dressed and gave her a wink. You know I think I might take you up on that offer. She said. But first other things like breakfast and school. Scene change. Issei and Riaz walked to school together, but it went worse for Issei than he ever expected. It's Riaz, she's so beautiful. Squealed some girl. What's the pervert's friend doing with her? Said another girl, I bet he's blackmailing her. Said some other girl. Some were already thinking of how to destroy their simple walk into school. Even the guys were burning with rage. Why? Why does he get to walk to school with her? Some guy yelled with rage building in his eyes. As they entered the main hall of school, Riaz turned to him, but Issei beat her to the punch. Must be hard being a school idol, yet you come to school with me. Riaz had a small chuckle, but nothing too much, you have no clue how bad it is sometimes. Nevertheless, after school I'll have Kiba come to pick you up again. She departed off into a crowd of people and disappeared off to class. Issei, on the other hand, was punched in the face by Mitsuda. Dude, what the beep, first you get summoned to the occult research club and the next time we see you you're walking to school with Riaz Gremory. What the hell happened yesterday? Mitsuda was in near tears and yelling at Issei. Chill out Mitsuda, if you beat poor Issei up he can't explain what happened. So Issei, you better explain what happened after you left. Motohama was mad, but nowhere near as bad as Mitsuda. Come here, guys. Issei said. As they came closer they got into a huddle and Issei said, I saw the meaning of life yesterday and what was amazing. Mitsuda and Motohama were crying as they knew what Issei saw. Issei left them so they could cry out their loss, but unbeknownst to Issei, they were being watched. Good morning, Riaz was heard from a new female voice, black hair, violet eyes and matching color classes. Good morning to you as well, Sona, Riaz replied. It's not like you to take my way of inviting someone to your house, what's different about this one? She asked as Riaz's usual recruitment tactics so far have always involved near-death situations. I will let you in on a little hint, Sona, he's as red as my hair. Riaz replied with a smirk. You're kidding, Haidu is the security. Sona was shocked as nearly every devil in the underworld was looking for a dragon emperor to add to their peerage. So how many pawns did he take? Sona asked as she even wondered if the red dragon emperor was possible to obtain for her even at some point. How do you know he's a pawn, Riaz asked. Be realistic, Riaz, neither of us would be strong enough to reincarnate the dragon emperors without pawns, as we both have queens. Even my newest addition took 4 pawns, and he has a piece of a lesser dragon. As Sona was talking she pushed up her glasses and looked at the newest servant of Riaz. He took all 8 pawns I had. I thought it was going to be 7, but when I was doing it the last pawn came to him and was able to finish. It was like that last pawn had a mind of its own. Riaz recalled yesterday afternoon, but after this morning antics, well, he may be the one. She was still quite embarrassed after what happened. So he's your true boyfriend, I take it? Sona asked as Riaz was not known to talk about those kinds of things even in public. Yes, my boyfriend, or the little brother that I always wanted. Riaz sighed knowing that she could not have what he wanted. Riaz, I'll speak to you later. Also, we had no run-ins with any fallen. Sona walked away, ending their conversation. School dragged on as most classes generally do, but once the final class of the day was over, all hell broke loose. Hello, in walked Prince Charming Kiba and the girls went wild. Kiba, all the girls shouted, please come in. One girl stated, who had pink hair. Kiba, will you go karaoke with us sometime? Another ones asked. I'm sorry ladies, but once again I'm here on an errand on behalf of Riaz Gremory to get Issei Haidu again. He said. Oh yeah, I guess it is club activity time. Very well, let's go. After Issei grabbed his stuff, they proceeded to walk away. But not before out of earshot of everybody Issei said, hey Kiba, you know, if you keep coming to get me for the club, the girls are going to think we're gay, or the manga club might have some ideas. He laughed at the joke, but he knew all about the manga club and their ideas. Kiba, on the other hand, was not so amused. Please don't give those girls any ideas. Your reputation may not be the best, but don't drag me into their wild fantasies. Oh, trust me, they probably already spun those crazy ideas a while ago, now we're just acting them out for them. Issei laughed when he noticed they were almost near the old school building. He then asked Kiba another question. So now that we're away from people, is there any real reason why you have to escort me to the club room? Actually yes, there is. Kiba replied, there is magic seals and barriers that if you don't have certain marks you can't get past without setting off the alarms. As you don't have those marks, you need me to get in. He said while walking through the building to the club room. Knock knock knock, but we are here for the day. Haman and Riaz is almost done here. Akeno replied. When they entered the room they heard running water. While it didn't faze Kiba, Issei, on the other hand, was surprised. Is that a shower in this club room? What kind of club room has a personal shower? Water stopped running and Akeno handed a towel to the person in the shower. Once the towel was handed back, clothes were handed and the person in the shower got dressed. Riaz came out of the shower dressed, sat down at her desk, and spoke, sorry about that, I didn't get to take a shower this morning after last night and this morning's antics, so I decided to take one now. Riaz said with a smile on her face. What can I say, I always aim to please. Issei said with a smile. Her word was all that was heard from Kaneko as she went back to eating her snacks. Oh, maybe I can join you sometime then. Akeno said in a seductive voice as she sat down next to him. Maybe, he said. Enough about that for now. Riaz said, trying to divert the perverts away from each other. As Ddraig said yesterday he would speak to you, I assume that happened last night. Yes, he did. I got an even bigger crash course into the supernatural world and I definitely learned some things. Issei lied through his teeth as he didn't say what really was talked about. That's good to hear, then I guess then it's a good time to test you for magic. Akeno, would you do the test on him? Riaz asked Akeno to do it while she leaned forward over her desk. Very well, let's get started. First come over here and stand in the middle of this magic circle. Once Issei moved to the middle of the circle, Akeno focused magic into a paper and summoned to her index and middle fingers on her right hand and placed them on his forehead. The magic slowly started to fill in, and when it finally glowed bright red, the paper is full of data. You can sit down again, Issei. She said as Issei sat down. Akeno handed the paper to Riaz to look at the results. Interesting, the results are quite interesting. You have a high affinity for fire magic, but that's somewhat to be expected as you hold the boosted gear, and Ddraig was the largest fire dragon ever. It also says in theory that you should be able to use lightning, water and wind as well. That's not even the interesting part, it says you should be able to use construction magic, and that form of magic to my knowledge isn't used by devils. The only people I know off the top of my head who used it are the Greek pantheon and the Chinese pantheon, most famously for the terracotta army, and that type of magic doesn't have much of a use in the current world. Lastly, there's a list called Other, and it's about as large as your fire magic, and there is just a rose symbol there. I might have to send this off to my brother to see if he knows anything about these two things. Riaz was surprised to see he had such high magic potential, but also was concerned about the other results. So, I can use magic from the sounds of it? Issei asked, but knew his abilities already. Yes, it would appear that you have the ability to use powerful magic later on down the line. Riaz was still looking at the paper trying to decipher it, then she snapped her fingers and a circle appeared on the table with a bunch of papers. She walked over to the table and placed a device on top of it. Come here and stick out your left hand. She said when Issei stuck out his hand, her index finger glowed red, and then she pointed at Issei's hand and a symbol appeared on it. What is that? He asked as the symbol faded away. I marked you as a servant of House Gremory. When the time comes you will be able to use teleportation magic with the house crest, but for now you have another job. You see these papers, before you can do devil jobs you need to get contracts, and these papers here are how humans with strong desires summon us. However, I need you to deliver them. This device here will show you where to deliver them to. There is a bike out front you can use. All you need to do is put the device on the handlebars and just ride around and deliver all the papers. Oh, and don't worry about traffic, the device deals with that for you. Once you're done, come back here, we will see if there are any extra contracts available. Sounds fun. So how exactly does that GPS thingy deal with traffic? Issei asked. Magic. This time everybody replied. Issei laughed and he walked out the door and proceeded on to his job. After about 5 minutes, Riaz addressed the rest of the group. Did anybody else notice how powerful his magic potential is for just a normal human? The numbers seem to be near the point of where he should be if he had trained for years but his body doesn't look like it should after training for those years. Akeno said, but Riaz was not as convinced as Akeno. I'm not sold on that. His body is quite well toned, even more than Kiba's. Kiba raised an eyebrow and looked at Riaz. I'm sorry, how is that possible? He has been a devil for less than 48 hours. Even with the strengthening of changing your race to devil from human, it should take a while. Kiba knew the effect as the same thing happened to him, but for it to work so fast he had no idea. I thought the same thing, Kiba, unless he is a fitness nut and nobody knows about it, or the devil changes are working extremely fast on him. Other than that, I don't have a clue. Even Riaz was stumped, but she saw the results firsthand, but knew they should take longer. You said he has the ability to use construction magic. So would that make him a demigod of some sort? Akeno asked, as construction magic was extremely rare to the point that it's rarely seen in the magical world. I don't know, the Chinese pantheon keep track of all their members and they all live in their areas. The Greeks, however, don't venture outside of Greece too often. His father is a native of Japan, his mother, on the other hand, has Greece and Japanese citizenship and she was born in Greece. Unless she is a descendant of a demigod and not aware of her lineage, then I don't know how he would have access to that magical art. Riaz was stumped as she was struggling to know how he had that kind of potential. You could always ask your brother. Akeno replied, knowing what that could involve. I would rather not, but in this case, I might have to. After tonight's contracts, I'll head home for the night and ask brother. About an hour and a half later with Issei, he was still delivering papers. So you're the one who Rainer was talking about? Said a female voice hidden in the shadows. Oh, so you're with her? What did she say? Better yet, come out from behind the wall where I can see you. Issei asked with a smile on his face. A tall woman came out from behind the wall. She wore a dark red top that revealed her busty chest, also worse, a color-matched miniskirt. Name is Kalwerner, though Ray came blabbering into our base, saying something about the target and how she failed. All I know is I have to clean up her mess. While walking towards him, she raised her arm up, summoned a large spear, and threw it. Hit Issei. Now die. Issei summoned the boosted gear to deflect the spear. Like with Rainer, when he deflected it, the spear shattered. Seriously, do all you chumps have like one predictable action when you try to kill somebody? Issei at this point did not look happy. At this point in less than 48 hours, 2 people had tried to kill him, and both have failed. Issei started to walk towards her and spoke. You know, I told the last bumbling bimbo that tried to kill me that as long as I never saw her again, I would keep my mouth shut to Gremory. But you, that's not going to happen. I'm going to tell her that you tried to kill me. Boost. Boost. Once Issei reached her, he grabbed her shoulder with his left hand and she tensed up as she was unable to move from his grip. Now then, let's have some fun, shall we? He smiled. In his right hand he snapped his fingers. Snap, all her clothes shredded into thousands of little pieces. What the beep, you destroyed my clothes. You shouldn't be powerful enough to hold me down with just one hand. She was seething with rage. Her clothes were destroyed all by some child who wasn't even a single % of her age. Well, to be fair, you did try to kill me. But before I let you go, I have a present for you. Still holding on to her shoulder, he took his free hand and grabbed her right breast. He jiggled it. Not bad, he said, but that's not my present, this is. He took his hand off her breast, then infused some magic into his thumb and index finger and grabbed her beep. He rolled it around between his fingers, then he pinched her beep. Eeeeee. She screamed as this was the most pleasure she has ever had just from a beep pinch. Issei noticed some water on the floor and did a double take. Wait, did you have an orgasm from that? You must have been more deprived considering you have fallen. Have fun with the rest of your frustrating night. He walked to his bike and as he was about to get on it was finally able to speak. You're not going to finish the job. She panted out, barely able to speak from recovering. Job? What job? He asked. If you're referring to beeping you, then hell no, I don't stick my beep in crazy, I already did that once. And if it's about killing you, then well, that was never my job to begin with, but I am going to tell Gremory about this encounter, so if you end up dying without getting some action, that's not my problem. He got on the bike and rode away back to school. Scene change. When Issei arrived back at the club room, he walked in the door and saw that everybody was here and spoke. Oh cool, you're all here and I got something to tell you all. Riaz looked up at him as she was engrossed in paperwork. And that would be she still wasn't all too interested in what he was going to say. The fallen angel tried to kill me about 5 minutes ago, she blabbed on about how she was the last person I would ever meet. Issei told half-truth and half-lies, but it still got the whole point across. You're not injured, are you? No cuts or anything from their light magic. She was now on full attention, ready to go. Nah, nothing at all. I've been to the zoo where monkeys throw their own poop at the glass more accurately than she threw a spear. Oh my, and how did you deal with her? Akeno asked. Issei summoned the boosted gear. I used the boost function that Ddraig told me about, got a couple of boosts. When the time she was able to be in punching range, I punched he in the spleen and grabbed the bike and came back here. The gear disappeared and Issei took a seat on the couch. How are you uninjured? He asked, though he was still impressed that he was uninjured. Oh, that's easy, not wanting to die will make you run crazy fast, also the boost made me run faster, so guess it was that. So is there anything else I need to do tonight? He figured he should ask after the incident that just happened. It would be one, but now there are two things. First off, since you were attacked there is something else that you need to be told then. Last night when you were at home we found fallen angel feathers at the bridge over the river about a mile away from your house. Okay, and this means what? He asked, knowing all too well what the feathers were from. It means that your attack is not the first, and we have no police reports of people missing as of right now who live in the city that would pertain to the supernatural. And the second thing is? He questioned. You are going to take one of Kaneko's extra jobs for the night. This time you're going to teleport there. She said, noticing the smile he had when teleport was mentioned. Oh cool, teleportation, how does it work? Too complex to explain right now, but just know it's a point-to-point jump, the point being the flyers that were delivered beforehand. As you don't exactly know how to use magic yet, that device will be able to contact us when you need to come back, so we can make a magic circle for you to come back. She explained, but Issei noticed she forgot something else. Okay, that all good to know, but what do I do when I get there? His question wasn't too far off as Riaz forgot to explain the whole job thing. Oh right, well you go to the person who is summoning a devil and you fulfill whatever their wish is. Once you enter their place you ask them what you can do for them, you do it and you take payment from them. As she was explaining, Issei interrupted her. Payment as in their soul, you guys still do that? He didn't know what to expect when payment was a thing for devils, he just assumed that they took their souls. We don't do that anymore, turns out if you take their soul you're not going to have a harder time making contracts. Nowadays we take money, cold hard cash and local currency, people are more likely to make a contract with you when they can pay you. That makes a lot of sense, seems dumb to kill your contract every night. Also, how do I know how much to charge for the contracts? Remember that device from earlier? She asked. Yeah, I have it right here, what about it? He showed here the device. When you enter a contractor's house it will change apps automatically, and once that happens a form will appear, you fill in the information of the person and their requests and it pops out all payment needed for your service. And with all of that, the rest is up to you. I guess that is convenient, let's get this started then. Issei moved over to the magic circle and waited to be teleported. Akeno, if you would, she pointed to Issei. Yes, but you. She moved to Issei and started the teleporting sequence. Get ready, 3, 2. Issei disappeared before she counted to 1. Oh my, looks as I sent him earlier. She had a chuckle. You sent him earlier on purpose, didn't you, Akeno? Riaz was also amused by this act. I did, because he doesn't seem to be phased all too much so far. Akeno knew that nobody should be taking this as well as he was. That was cruel, but he is a pervert. Kaneko finally spoke as she finished eating the last of her sweets. Scene change. Issei arrived in the client's home and saw enough anime merchandise to make a hobby shop happy. Your devil has arrived. What can I help you with for the night? Name is Issei. You're not Kaneko, I want Kaneko, he spoke. Sir, they sent me here as this is my first day on the job, so what do Kaneko do for you? Also, what is your name? Professionalism was not Issei's strong point, but he had to try. Name's Morisawa. Normally I have Kaneko dress up in outfits like this. He held a school uniform with a jacket. Blue skirt, blue and white top and a brown jacket. I swear I remember that from an anime some years back. It's from Harry, right? Issei started to fill out the contract form with his information, awaiting the last part of the form. Yuki Nagato to be exact. When Kaneko dresses up she's so cute. Hugging the uniform, he remembers how close Kaneko was to Yuki. Just don't give her the bunny outfit, it's not going to go over too well with her lack of a chest. Issei's off remark about Morisawa's favorite devil did not go unnoticed. Are you saying that flat is not justice? Morisawa was not happy at this point. You're damn right I am, big beep, or where it's at, they're so much fun to be, had to play with them. Issei was fired up. Very well, if you were human I would get in a fight about it, but as you're a devil I'll let it slide. So what's your talent? He sat his table and invited Issei to sit as well. Talent, what do you mean by that? Kaneko can lift me with just one arm like I'm nothing, so what can you do? Well, I got this thing. Issei summoned the boosted gear. It fires energy blasts, but I don't think you want me to do that in your home. Wait, can you do a Kamehameha? Dude, I wish, when I fire the energy from this thing it's like a ball that goes flying, not a constant beam. Trust me, I tried when I was younger. I had read the manga, collected all the first editions, but every time I tried it was just never worked. Oh, first editions of Dragon Soap Ball manga. He went over to grab a stack of manga. Let's take Shawell. I'm game though. You want this to be your contract? Issei asked as he had yet to fill out the last of the form. Yeah, let's do it. He went and got his wallet as Issei filled in the last part. Alright, it says for 1 hour. As I don't have much time left in the night, it will be 1000 yen, less than 10 United States dollars. Issei felt he was getting the short end of the straw, but didn't care too much about it. Here you go, 1000 yen in cash, so let's talk. After Issei received the money, they talked for over an hour about Dragon Soap Ball until a red circle appeared on the floor. Dude, I think that's for you. He pointed to the circle that was lit up. Oh, I guess our time is up. If you want to discuss more, I'm summon me today was fun. Issei got in the circle and disappeared for the night. After Issei's long night of contract, he woke up and took a shower and got ready for the morning. Just another day of school awaited him at school. However, more pressing matters appeared. After he had breakfast he was about to leave, but his mother spoke to him. Issei, before you leave, Riaz came by last night and tried to use mind control magic to tell us that you would be out late at nights. How well did that go over? He asked, thinking that she might have some effect. Be about as well as you would think, but your father on the other hand. Let's be honest, he's human, so not much defense there. So after she left I broke the spell. I agreed to her requests, but that was the idea to begin with. Well, good to know. I have to get to school. I will see you later, I guess. Once he said his piece he left. Scene change. I don't know how I can be so tired in the mornings. I'll have to ask Riaz about sunlight. He was talking to himself while spacing out the rest of the world. Ah. The voice snapped Issei out of his trance-like walk to school. He looked over and saw a girl bent over flashing her panties. He walked over to her to see if she was okay. Oh, excuse me miss, are you okay? All while grabbing her dress and covering her behind. Why am I so clumsy? She spoke as she rolled over. Here, he called out and gave her a hand to grab onto so she could stand up. Thank you very much. As she spoke the wind blew the headdress she hand on head away. I got it. He walked over to the white veil and dusted off some dirt from it and handed it back. Here you go miss. Excuse me, I'm a bit lost, could you help me out? She asked. Issei noticed she spoke in Italian yet was in Japan. Definitely. Where do you need to go? He had an idea on where she was heading considering her outfit but still asked. There's a church in this town, I'm going there, but everybody I asked couldn't understand me. She knew that people in Japan were most likely unable to speak the same language as he, but she was still meant to go to that church. Very well, I'll take you there. He started to take her to the church and were near a park. He decided to ask a question. So what are you doing in a town like this for the church? I'm a nun and they sent me to the church to work here. She said with a sad voice. You are aware that the church has been abandoned in this town for over 10 or so years. The church had truly been abandoned by the followers for years, yet Issei never knew why they left. As they were walking, Issei heard a kid crying in the distance. When he looked away she was concerned. Is something the matter? She didn't know if she said something wrong. Oh, it's nothing, I thought I heard something, he replied, but this time her heard the kid crying again. Well, she heard it as well when they go to the park entrance. She saw the crying boy and went over to him and spoke. Please don't cry, it's just a scraped knee. She comforted him and once he stopped crying she put her hands over his knee and a green light appeared. A set of rings became visible on her middle fingers, also producing the same green glow. After a few moments, the scrape on his knee vanished and the rings disappeared as well. Once she was done the kid got up and said thank you in Japanese and left. Sorry about that, it's a force of habit. She looked at Issei and smiled. But quite alright, by the way. Before he left he said thank you. They continued on with their walk as they were almost near the church. Did it surprise you? She knew that normal people would be scared to see cuts on the body just disappear. Sort of. I must say you have an amazing power. Yes, it's a wonderful power granted to me by God. She looked down and spoke softly. A wonderful power indeed. We're near the church, it's just on the end of this road. Issei felt his whole body shake. Would you come inside the church with me? I would like to return the favor for your company so far. She was happy to finally be at the church. I miss, but I have to get to school. If I didn't I would gladly come in. After he spoke he looked at his phone to see the time and he was almost late for school. Oh, I see, my name is Asia Argento, so please come by and ask for me. Hi do Issei, just call me Issei. However, I don't wish to be late to school. It's nice to see someone as nice as you. Maybe the Lord sent you to me in my time of need. Thank you. She smiles at him and waved goodbye. I'll see you sometime later, he yelled to her as he was running away. Issei was almost near the school when he decided to speak to Ddraig before school for the day. So what was the feeling when I'm near her, Ddraig? His voice was inward to his mind. Normally I would say love, but considering I felt her in the gear I'm going to assume she might be a dragon tamer. Wait, those things actually do exist. I thought those were just the jokes of the girls to me. They're not as common as they used to be back in my time. As well, dragons don't roam the earth like they used to, but they do exist, and she most likely is a dragon tamer and has no clue. Also, if not every dragon had a tamer that resonated with them. I guess you learn something every day. Well, I'm at school and I don't like what I see. I will take to you later. Issei refocused on the real world and he saw the student council president waiting for late kids. Hi, you're late. What's your excuse? She wasn't happy that he was late. I found a cute girl and gave her directions, and thus I am late. He told her the truth, figured there was no point in lying. Very well, I'll hand off punishment to your club president. She wrote down his excuse on a clipboard and locked the gate behind him. Whatever you say, Citri. As he was walking away he made a lazy motion to wave goodbye as he walked to class. It's Shatori. She corrected him but knew he was right after all, but didn't want her cover blown. As I said earlier, whatever you say. He was now gone and off to class. The Cult Research Club. Not much has happened for the night. Others were off on contracts for the night and Issei was just lounging around. Issei, you here? Riaz called out for him. Yes, I'm here, just laying down, not much to do. He was close to sleeping on the couch, but there wasn't any work for him, only the others. But so you are here, don't ever go near churches again. She told him with a stern voice. I know about earlier, you are a devil, and going near a church or church personnel, even an abandoned one, can be a sign of aggression, and we don't want to start a war with them. I know about this morning, but you need to be more proactive on who you talk to. Issei sighed. Yes ma'am. He knew he was in trouble now. He could now no longer see Asia. Good to know you understand what's at stake here. She walked over to him and hugged him, bringing his head into her chest. He smiled because of this. Now that you're no longer in the dump, I have a job to take care of. Somebody should be back soon. Riaz left and Issei went back to laying on the couch. He took out his phone and played some games on it to pass the time. The Keno was the first one to arrive back at the club and she noticed that Issei was alone. She noticed that Issei was lost in his thoughts and she decided to have some fun. Once she entered the room she snuck up on Issei and from behind and placed a hand on his face, stroking it. Why hello there, Issei. She let out a cute voice while stroking his face and spoke in his ear. The Keno, you scared me. She made Issei fall over as she startled him. Riaz came back from her job and saw Keno. Oh, Keno, you're back. Anything new for the night? She asked, wondering if she could end tonight's work. Yes, I got a call from the Archduke. She spoke. And that would be. One stray devil is on the loose in the town. We have been ordered to deal with it. Riaz frowned when she heard this, but a job is a job. Gather everybody, then let's head out. Riaz gave her order and they proceed out. Scene change. The Gremory Peerage had assembled outside an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town. According to the intelligence of the Archduke, the devil had set up base in a factory. Once they were at the scene they started to walk to the entrance and Issei broke the silence. So what is a stray devil? He figured he should at least get some knowledge on other parts of the devil's work. Before Riaz spoke, Kiba answered his question. Stray devils are like us for the most part. Except they act on their desires for power and in the end they run away from their master or in some cases kill them to do whatever they please. Those who act upon those desires, we call them stray devils. This warehouse is the base of the stray. They lure people in and then eat them to gain more strength. More information was given by Keno on the stray's habits. Those who don't keep their demonic power in check grown into abominations. You will see when we get inside and see the creature. Kiba continues on as they entered the lair. Issei spoke. Yes. Do you remember when I told you about the chess pieces and their powers? She asked to see if he was paying attention. Yes, I remember the pieces. He said. But tonight you will see the traits of the chess pieces in action. Queen Knight Rook, you will see how the evil pieces work in action and you will observe how we deal with stray devils. Ria's order were clear and concise. Issei knew tonight was going to get weird. It's here, Kaneko said, putting everybody on alert. I smell food. A voice that echoed was heard. Will it be sweet, will it be sour, or will it be disgusting as hell? Out appeared the stray, naked and willing to show her body, but only her top half appeared. Nice tits. Issei yelled and gave her a thumbs up. Everybody else, on the other hand, was not as amused. Stray devil visor. Those who stray from their master are to be dealt with. In the name of the Duke of Gremory we will eliminate you. The stray showed off the rest of its body. She, if you could even be called a she anymore, was an amalgamation of many creatures. Udo. Only a name was said. Yes, a sword appeared by his side. He then leapt away in extreme speed. He got close to the monster and chopped off both of its arms. His role as knight give his high speed capability and when paired with a blade allows him to do things like that. Kaneko, you're next. Kaneko walked towards the monster and punched it right in the middle of its stomach. Her punch was audible and it broke the monster ribs to a point that the rib bones could have been dust. That's a monster strength she has. I'll have to tell Mitsuda not to mess with this girl. Issei was shocked as such a little girl made some of the most powerful fighters look like children. That's the power of the rook. It gives her amazing offensive and defensive power. Even if that stray could hit her, it would do nothing to her. Akeno, you're up. Ria signaled to Issei to follow her as they got closer to see the end. The stray, on the other hand, had other ideas. Issei saw one of the arms moving. It lunged at Ria's. Boost. Issei pushed Ria's away. He intercepted the arm and punched it, breaking its wrist, putting it down. Well, it seems I'm at least strong enough to do some basic protection. He then turned to Ria's, who was surprised that the stray even attacked her, let alone that Issei protected her. I hope you're okay. He held his hand out to help out. Thank you. She took Issei's hand and as she got up she gave her orders again. Akeno, deal with this creature. Oh my, you wanted to harm Butcher. You are a naughty creature. You will be punished for your actions. Lightning formed in her hands and was sparking at an extreme rate that made down power lines act as if they're nothing. Now you shall be punished. She began to electrocute her and a smile appeared on her face. Akeno is my queen. She uses magic-based attacks. However, she is, well, I think you can see for yourself that she an extreme sadist. Akeno, that's enough. I think you've had your fun for now. Ah, when here I was just getting started. Very well. She said with a pout. Ria's walked towards the stray. Any last words you have for this world? Waiting for a reply, she barely heard a voice. Kill me. Visor was barely able to speak from her screaming. Very well, I can comply with that request. Ria's formed a magic circle in front of her and released a massive black and red energy, the power of destruction. When the monster was struck, no screaming was heard from it at all. It was just vaporized. Ria's turned around and said, now everybody, we're done here for the night. So what kind of special power do I have? Issei saw the display of power but wanted to know if he had anything cool like what he just saw. Ria's knew she was going to have to break the bad news to him. Like a pawn, you don't have a base power trait. This made Issei sad, but Ria spoke again. The upside is as a pawn you have the promotion ability. It's a trade-off for not having something like the traits of others. Well, let's go home. The following night Issei was sent out on a contract. Once he teleported into the house at the front door. Odd place to summon me to, but whatever. Hello, is anybody there? He yelled out. No answer came back. He walked to the main living room. Once he walked in he noticed something was wrong. Squish, do I even want to know what I just stepped in? He asked himself out loud. He looked down and touched it, then he notices. Oh boy, it's blood. He looked up and saw a man nailed to a wall, blood dripping from his corpse and all over the floor. The wicked shall be punished. A man said as he got up from the couch and walked towards Issei. My if it isn't a devil. Name's Fried Selzen and I just happened to purge freaks like you. The newly introduced man had white hair and a trench coat style robe that he wore over his white clothes and was a little too excited about his job. The priest, so you killed this man. You bet he may be a sinner for summoning devils, but you are so much more fun to kill. Fried had a smile on his face. If he could smile any wider, he might have been a dog with rabies. He reached into his robes and pulled out a sword made of light and a gun. The day I meet a crazy priest who has a sword made of light and a gun. A fight was brewing, but it was not Issei's day. Issei equipped the boosted gear and charged at Fried. Fried began to swing his sword wildly around, but Issei was able to dodge it repeatedly. What's the matter if someone with such bloodlust? You can't swing that toothpick of a sword and hit me. Issei was toying with Fried. Anger is the best way to make someone slip in combat. Just die, you shitty devil. Fried continued to swing the sword while Issei kept dodging. Issei got behind him and pushed him in the back and knocked Fried down. Beep you piece of shit. He screamed, and when he got back up he swung his sword one more time in a horizontal slash, but Issei caught it with the boosted gear. His hand was in pain as the sword burned him, but not too much. The scream was heard that stopped Issei and Fried from fighting. As Issei looked over he heard another loud sound. This was a gunshot. Fried shot Issei the leg with his guns. Issei kneeled down and grabbed his leg and applied pressure over the wound. Asia, however, spoke. Issei, is that you? You know this devil? Fried questioned her. Are you done with what I asked you to do? Why did you shoot him? Asia was near tears as she saw Issei in pain. What do you mean, why did I shoot him? I'm doing my job, killing shitty devils. Issei, why are you here? She looked at him. I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier, but I'm a devil. I never meant to deceive you in any way. He actually felt sad for the girl as she learned the reality of the supernatural world. You know this shitty devil? Is this a forbidden love between a devil and the church? Fried had a maniacal grin that could make even a seasoned murder shiver. No answer. Oh well, time to kill him. Fried went to go attack Issei, but before he could Asia moved to protect him, but Fried pulled back and slashed her clothes off, cutting her dress and bra. He grabbed her and pointed the gun at Issei. You know I can't kill you, the Fallen still have a plan for you, but never said I can't don't anything else to you. Fried then moved to touch her lower portion. Issei lunged at Fried and punched him in the mouth. Fried grabbed his jaw to soothe the pain, but had to spit out blood in 3 teeth. He saw that Issei was still kneeling on the floor due to the bullet wound. Fried was livid. He was now missing teeth, and his job should already be over with. He rushed Issei with his sword, and once again Issei grabbed it with a boosted gear, all while a red magic circle appeared. Out came Kiba. Issei released the blade in Kiba, and Fried stuck blades. I'm here to help you with your predicament. Still, blade locked with Fried, but there was no issue keeping it at an even level. Oh my, it looks like you did get in trouble. A Keno came from the magic circle. Kaneko followed Exorcist's trash. She said. Fried jumped back. A coffee table was behind him, and he looked at Kiba. So are you the pin or the cushion? Kiba was not amused to hear something like that from a priest. I can't say I'm too surprised. Don't get mouthy with me, you piece of shit devil. You are maggots and I will hunt you down like the filth you are. He spoke. Show me that hatred, that anger, that bloodlust so I may kill you. Very well then, die. Ria's voice was heard and out came her power of destruction. Fried barely dodged it, and as it destroyed the table behind him. Since you took the utmost care of my servant, I shall care for you the same way. She turned to look at Issei. Issei, you okay? Oh, you know I have been better, just got a bullet wound in my leg and my hand is kinda burnt. Other than that, doing well. I joking, my leg is killing me, the hand I can deal with. He told her. In the meantime, Fried started to kick Asia repeatedly as she was covering herself. Asia? Issei yelled, but as he tried to get up the wound caused him more pain. Fried on the other hand stopped kicking her as he looked up and saw a purple magic circle on the ceiling. Back up, how nice of them, maybe they will help me skewer you and then I can defile your corpses. Akeno now. Riaz ordered Kaneko. Grab Issei. Akeno cast a magic circle for teleportation. I'm not leaving Asia behind. Issei said. We don't have the advantage here, also only my house can use the teleportation circle. Riaz told Issei the fact there were a man down and nothing he could do to save her. As they were in the magic circle they started to teleport away. I'm sorry Asia, he said, but before they teleported away she spoke. I'll see you again, as she said that she was crying and the devils disappeared. Back at the club room when they arrived, Kaneko placed Issei on the couch. Issei spoke out loud to Ddraig. Ddraig, do you have the ability to tell if that bullet is still in my leg? I do have that ability to know what is happening to your body. And the bullet is still in your leg and you're extremely lucky that it's in one piece. I can help you with what you're going to want to do. His thunderous voice still surprised everybody around him. You guys got any forceps around here? He asked the group. Here you are. Issei. Akeno handed him a first aid kit. He started to rummage through it. He found the forceps and proceeded to move them near his leg. Ddraig, let's do this. Issei said. As he stuck them in the wound, the dragon began to guide him towards the bullet that was in his leg. Once he found the bullet and had the forceps around it, the Welsh dragon spoke one more time. It's wedged in there, go, so when you pull it's going to hurt. Issei pulled hard and the bullet came out along with a lot of blood. You weren't kidding when you said it was going to hurt. He looked at the bullet and noticed something. This beeping bullet is a normal human bullet, it's not magical or some bullshit, so why did it hurt so much? Riaz replied to him, I'll explain more, but for now get in the shower. I need to heal you by pumping some of my magic into you. Kinky, he said while walking to the shower and getting undressed. Just shut up and get in the shower. Riaz said. After the kinky magic sharing fun shower, Issei still had a limp in his leg and his hand was still burned but healing. Both Issei and Riaz got redressed and Issei had some question that needed to be asked. Akeno wrapped his burned hand and everybody was still in the room, so he figured it was the best time to ask questions. Anybody want to tell me exactly what happened earlier? He asked, looking for anybody to answer. You ran into a stray exorcist and his gun and sword were blessed with the power of light. It was fairly concentrated too from the burns on your hand. Akeno told him. So what's a stray exorcist? Again wanting more answers. They are exorcists who strayed from the path of the church or they were excommunicated from the church. My guess the one you ran into was excommunicated. Kiba told him. And is Asia one of them? Whatever she is a member of the fallen angel group. These are the facts as of now. But for now don't come to school tomorrow. Issei, take the time off and heal up. The magic I gave you will heal you up a bit more, but the rest is up to your body. She came out of the shower with nothing but a towel on. Akeno sent him to these coordinates. Having him walk home with a limp and the fallen out is not a good idea. Okay. She looked over the coordinates and opened up a circle. It's ready, she said as Issei grabbed his stuff and teleported off. After Issei was gone, Kiba spoke. You know he's going to go after the girl tomorrow. Riaz started to get dressed and replied to Kiba's question, that's why I gave him tomorrow off. There is no way those two stumbled into each other more than once, they're bound to each other. Tomorrow we will deal with the fallen, they have prodded around here for far too long. Did anybody else notice that he shrugged off quite a bit of pain when pulling out the bullet? Akeno knew what it took to pull that bullet out and the pain that followed, but his power shouldn't have allowed him to forget that power. He can take the pain, that's a good thing. Kaneko spoke. Yes, but pain tolerance like that isn't something you just get. You have to build up to that. Kaneko, even you would be in some pain doing that. Kiba looked at her for confirmation and he saw a small nod. See what I'm saying, how can he do that so easily? What about the other day where Sona said he called her by her real last name? Akeno asked. Rias was fully dressed and took a seat at her desk. I don't know how he could do that, I intend to find out, and he knows more than it looks. But for now, you're all dismissed, we're done for the night. Issei woke up in the morning and once again did his normal routine of a shower and got ready for school, but he remembered he was given the day off. He got dressed in blue jeans and a pink shirt and then went downstairs to have breakfast and he saw his mother cooking breakfast. Morning, mother. He said as he sat down at the table. She looked over at him and saw him with a limp as he sat at the table. So what happened, you look like shit, also bacon and eggs for breakfast. She handed him a plate of food. Turns out after being turned into a devil and getting shot by a blessed exorcist gun is extremely painful. That in my hand is burned from holding onto a blessed light sword with a boosted gear. With a limp like that, do you plan on going to school today? She asked. Well, I have graciously been given the day off from school today from Rias herself. So the plan as of now is to do some snooping around and find a nun I ran into along with some fallen angels. He laid out his plan for the day, but his mother knew something else wasn't right. So there are fallen around you, and here I thought Azazel had his people under control, she knew something wasn't right only to have her suspicions confirmed. I would report it to him, but Kinda can't. So if you could go talk to him, that would be great. Very well, I can do that, so start talking. So far I have run into 2 fallen females, and both had intentions of killing me. The first, named Rainer, 1 pair of wings, tried to ask me out on a date, only when I refused her request, she tried to kill me by throwing a light spear at me only to fail horribly, and she got a punch to the stomach. I did not report this to Rias, and this was before you came back here, it was right the reason I ended the phone call with you. He explained the situation all while eating breakfast. Oh, so that's why you hung up, I figured it was a girl, just not a failed murder attempt. What about the second one and this nun? With a nun in the picture, things could only get worse for here on. The second one, named Kalwerner, also has 1 pair of wings. She tried to kill me, but this time while on official devil business. Her method of killing was the same as before, except she was direct. Unfortunately, while she didn't get hit, she did lose her clothes and may or may not have lost her clothes. Do I even want to know what you did to her? She had an idea where this would lead, but figured she needed to know anyway. Probably not, but I'm going to tell you anyways. I gave her a boosted magic beep squeeze that gave her an orgasm. As he was telling her this, she reached over the table and smacked him in the head. Why did you do that to the poor girl? She was livid that he used magic to sexually assault her. Would you rather I killed her and have blown my cover? How would somebody who was a devil kill a fallen angel when I've only been a devil for a day? I know they're already suspicious that I have supernatural ties of some sort, I can feel it. He knew he was in the right and the wrong at the same time. I don't like it as well, but continue on. She glared at him. I left her on the floor horny as hell and left, and this time I reported the attack to Rias. And the nun? She asked. Her name is Asia Argento, and she is working with the fallen. I doubt willingly, as she was most likely tricked into it. Here's the kicker, she has twilight healing, let alone Ddraig says she is a dragon tamer. Twilight healing, that a rare gear, the church doesn't let those gears go away willingly. I wonder who beeped up. That's all I have to report, thank you for breakfast, I have to go out. Gonna see what I can find. As he was getting ready to leave, his mother left the room via magic circle as to deliver the report as well as some other work she had planned. Scene change. Issei was walking along the streets, not really caring about what is going on. He eventually came across the park in town. Once he was at the park, he found a bench and sat down for a while. Eventually, a voice called out to him. Issei. The voice was familiar. He turned to look and saw Asia standing there. Oh, Asia, good to see you. A smile on his face seeing as he saw the girl, knowing that what would come next would be the fallen. But before all of that, a gurgling noise came from the girl. She grabbed her stomach. Excuse me. Ahahaha, don't worry about. You want to get lunch? He figured he would ask. Thank you, I would love that. She was embarrassed about that. As they went off the local fast food place, he remembered she most likely was unable to read Japanese. As he ordered for her, once the food arrives, he had to show her how to eat a hamburger. I take it as you never had something to eat like this before. Issei never knew the daily lives of members of the church, so this was a good time to ask. No, where I was for most of my life we mainly had soup with bread, other times it would be pasta and some vegetables. Mainly whatever we could get a hold of that was easy and simple to make. She recalled her past life. Simple food is nice, but are you happy you had something besides simple food for once? Yes, I will remember this adventure forever. She was happy to try new things for once in her life. Well, if that's the case, then let us go have some fun around the city. With a smile on both of their faces, he led her around the town for an exciting day. After an exciting time around the city, they eventually came to a fountain in the city. As Issei took a seat on the bench, Asia noticed a slight limp in his leg. About last night, how are you? They hurt, but it's not something that is unbearable. As he said that, Asia activated her sacred gear and put her hands over his leg. This will heal you. She was focused on her healing of his leg. Once his leg wound was healed, she moved to his hand and did the same. As healing him, Issei noticed the look on her face and was thinking to himself, she is so innocent to the point of cuteness, yet she can't be willingly working with the fallen. After she was finished, he decided to ask her that healing power, it's a sacred gear, right? He asked her, prodding out an answer. It is, but you have one as well, don't you? Oh yes, I do as well, mine is called the boosted gear. As he spoke, the gear materialized on his hand. I know how it works, but beyond that, I don't know too much more about it. I do have a question for you, why does such a sweet girl like you work with the fallen angels? Asia, once hearing that question, expression darkens and a tear formed, yet she still replied. I never once knew my parents, I was abandoned and given to the church. I grew up working in the church, however, one day there was a puppy near death and I was able to heal it. Once it was healed, a member of the church saw this act and I was called the Holy Maiden. Once word of what happened made it through the city and countryside, I began to heal people. People would come to our church all to see me perform miracles. However, it only got worse for me. I healed people every day, I enjoyed it, but I was lonely. I was put on a pedestal that everyone admired, yet at the same time I had no one to speak to. There was no mistreatment, yet I had no one to call a friend. As Issei was listening to her story, he saw that she continued to cry. He comforted her as she continued to tell her tale. One day that all changed. I found a man who was gravely injured. However, by healing, the church found out I healed a devil and labeled me as a heretic. People who I live with were now branded me as an enemy of God. I went from a holy maiden to a devil healing witch, and now I am here in Japan. This is a trial from God, even if I work with the fallen angels. As she finished her story, Issei knew what he was going to do about her. Do you want out of this life of working with fallen, having to see horrible things like the other night? Before she was able to respond, a presence made itself known. A light spear narrowly hit Issei and gave him a deep gash. Issei turned around, seeing Rainer above the fountain. Rainer, how good to see you again. Asia saw the gash in his arm and started to heal him. So what are you doing here? I thought I told you if I never saw you again I wasn't going to tell Gremory. Now your other associate Kalwarner broke that, let alone you just tried to take off my arm. I hear to decline your offer of little Asia as we have plans for her. Rainer spoke with a sadist smile on her face. And those plans are? I can't spoil everything, that would be in poor taste. She fired a volley of light spears at Issei. As he was blocking them, she rushed him and grabbed Asia. Next time we meet I will deal with you personally. Come to the church tonight if you want to speed it up. With Asia in hand, Rainer teleported away. After they left, Issei's phone went off. Rington Maneater HALL and Oates, yes, he answered. Azazel says he never authorized them to enter any area of Japan. Giving her son a status update. Well, that's good news, I guess. Also, I hope he doesn't care if they die, because if Gremory doesn't deal with this, is killing them. I just hate another attempt happened about a couple minutes ago. As he told her, he was walking back to school. He mentioned that as she wanted to deal with them via death, it was fine after I told him they tried to kill you. Issei responded, that's good news, I'll talk to you later as I can't speak about this outside. He hung up and waited till after school to go to the club. After school. As Issei came into the main clubroom, everybody looked at him as he interrupted a private conversation. What, did I ruin a surprise? He asked. Riaz got up from her desk and walked over to him to examine his injuries and spoke. No, you didn't ruin or interrupt anything. I would like to know how you healed so well. She asked him. Oh, funny you ask about that. I went out and had a lovely day, met that little nun again, she healed me up, I bought her lunch. Riaz slapped him across the face. This brought everybody attention towards them. I told you to stay away from church personnel. Issei stroked his face, you know, with a slap like that I might be able to grow a beard. As I was saying, after lunch another fallen different from the one the other night took the girl and tried to kill me. The Kendo could be seen talking to Kaneko and Kiba on the other side of the room. But you, as Riaz come over to her, Kendo whispered something in her ear. Very well, Issei remembered desire is a powerful emotion, yet it is also fuel, and the church is enemy territory. Akeno and I have to step out for some time. After they left, only Kiba, Kaneko and Issei were left in the room. As Issei was about to leave, Kiba spoke up. Hi, do I take it as you're going after the girl? When he asked that, both he and Kaneko approached him. I have too, I always pay back my debts. Kiba saw the fire in his eyes, raw determination to do whatever it takes. You know you will die, you barely were able to survive after your last encounter with that priest. Even with the boosted gear and promotion, there is bound to be hordes of priests, let alone at least 2 full, and you can't win by yourself. I'm aware of the worst case scenario that I'll meet Charon and cross sticks and meet that old bag of bones Hades. Best case scenario, I don't worry about that worst case side. Issei plan caught Kiba off guard, but he was still able to retort him. For a person with an ancient dragon inside you and determination harder than those scales, you have a reckless plan. Kiba came back at him with a cold hard truth. Do you have a better idea? Issei asked him. Actually I do, I am going to help you out. We may not know too much about this nun, but you did say she saved you, so we might as well help you. I don't like it, but I will go along. Kaneko spoke up, but with no emotion in her words. Definitely didn't expect to hear that from the two of you. Very well then, let's get going. After Issei wrapped his mind around the fact that he was going to get help, the 3 of them left and headed to the church. As they arrived at the church, they stopped a little outside of it and Kiba summoned a map. Wait, you have a map of the church? Isn't it a little weird for a devil to have a map of a church? You're not wrong, it is weird, but at the same time it helps to come prepared. Kiba pointed out some areas of the church on the map and started to explain a plan. Here is the entrance, once we walk it there are offices to the left and right of the main hall. There should be an underground cellar of some sorts, all churches have these, and that is most likely where the girl is at. Okay, and where would this cellar door be? Issei had to just ask. Well, that's the fun part, let's go in. As the map disappeared they headed to the entrance and they saw that the doors were off the hinges and it was barred so people could not walk in the front door. They know we're here. As Kaneko spoke, she kicked the doors and the doors broke in half. Walking into the church was something like a disaster film. Glass was broken, the bench seats were damaged and paintings and crosses were damaged. It looked like there was a cleanup, but it was given up on. As the 3 of them walked down the middle of the church they got halfway before they started to hear clapping. Out from the shadows came the crazed priest Fried, still clapping. Well, if this isn't the shitty devils. I'm all for reunions, but you didn't bring any cake, so I guess I just have to do the next best thing and kill you. Fried stood in front of the lone podium and the only thing in the church that was not destroyed. Where's Asia at? Issei yelled at Fried, but Fried wasn't too worried about him. Well, you see downstairs they're having a fun little ritual, but you're not getting down there as I'm going to kill you, and it's going to be so much fun. Fried reached in his coat and pulled out a sword and gun, the same from the last time. Your blood will coat the floor of this once holy house, and it will be glorious. Fried charged the ground, but Kiba summoned a sword and blocked his attack. You're not so bad with a blade, but are the dragon and Short Stack going to fight as well? Short Stack. Kaneko did not like being called short, she grabbed a bench and threw it at Fried. Fried backed away from the locked blades to dodge the bench and fired his gun at everybody in the room, causing them to take evasive action. Kiba rushed Fried once again, and a blade struggle began once again with no victory in sight. You know you're not bad with that sword of yours. Kiba told Fried. You're not bad as well, but can you keep this up? I have a sword of light and only using one hand while you're using 2, what would happen if I used 2? When he finished a smile crept up. Good thing I have a solution for exactly that problem. Kiba's normal looking sword turned from metal to a black substance that started to destroy Fried's sword. This here is one of my many swords, I call this one Holy Eraser. Kiba didn't bother with Fried anymore as his sword was getting absorbed by the darkness. The beat that sacred gear is bullshit. Fried backed away after his sword was destroyed, however before he could completely get away, Kiba made another slash at Fried. The strike contacted with Fried's gun, shearing it completely in half. Now you douchebags broke my gun, I am going to torture you for days, while I watch just enough of your blood spill out that you're just barely alive. I do, Kiba yelled at Issei, seeing that he was already in the process of making a strike. Promotion. Rook, that's the only words Fried heard from Issei as he delivered a right hook to Fried. Fried however was able to defend against the hit, but the strike was delivered right into Fried's left elbow and a passive pop sound was mad. It was not a favorable trade as he flew backward into benches that have been piled up. Fried tried to move his left arm, but all he got was sharp pain when he tried to move his arm, so he jumped up to a window and reached for an item around his neck. Beep you, shitty devils, I'm out. He was screaming in pain, then threw down whatever the item was as it made a bright flash, but once the light died down he was gone. Well, I didn't expect to break his elbow. Issei spoke aloud. Neither did I thought you were going to knock him back, not severely injure him. Nevertheless, we need to get downstairs. Kaneko, can you move the podium? The hatch should be under there. Yes, Kaneko pushed the podium over and it revealed a hatch. As they climbed down the stairs they were greeted with a large underground room full of exorcists and Rainer with Asia chained to a cross. Welcome devils, you're just in time to see the ritual finished and my ascension. Rainer announced her grand plan. Issei Asia barely had enough strength to speak his name. "If you harm her I will kill you myself," Issei shouted. "Well, it's not like that matters anyways, the ritual is about to finish and once that is over I will have her sacred gear." As Rainer finished, the cross glowed and a beam connected to Rainer from Asia, giving her the sacred gear. Once the light died down, Asia went limp. "Well, I think I can give you a reward for getting this far." Rainer shaped her fingers and when she did, one of the exorcists went to attack Issei, but Kiba and Kaneko started to fight them and clearing a path for him. Issei walked the path and no exorcist could touch him as he made it to Asia and Rainer. "You can have her." She snapped her fingers again and the chains from that bound Asia broke apart and Issei caught her. Issei, she was almost crying his name. "Rainer, I will make your death extremely painful because I know exactly what happens when you pull out somebody's sacred gear." He looked at her and his eyes were once again slits of a dragon. "Oh well, you're too weak to kill me now that I have her gear. But I can still kill you." She materialized a spear of light and was about to shove it in his back, but he swung around and backhanded her in the face and proceeded to run upstairs with Asia in arms. "I'll be right back," Issei yelled out to Kiba. Issei ran up the stairs to the main floor of the church and laid Asia down on a bench. "I'm sorry for not catching on earlier to her plan. I should have dealt with her at the fountain as I knew this was going to be an issue. I just never expected for them to drag an innocent into it." Issei was near his breaking point. "It's okay, at least I was able to make a friend in you." As her strength gave out, she closed her eyes and died with a smile on her face, well, the last of her tears. When Asia died, Issei began to cry and spoke a soft chant. "Oh, how touching, but that was to the wrong god. It doesn't matter as it is time to kill you as well." Issei turned around to the voice to see Rainer was floating in the air taunting him. "Remember when I said I was going to kill you?" Issei wiped the few tears from his eyes after he spoke to her. "I remember, but I have her sacred gear, one that heals all wounds. So it's going to be nigh impossible for you to even attempt that." Her arrogance was beyond belief. It was to the point that if it could be visible it would be. "My name is Issei Haidu and I am the Red Dragon Emperor. Your death will be painful." When he spoke, the gear showed up on his hand. Boost. Boost. The call of the gauntlet rang through the church once the echo ceased. Issei spoke once again. "2 boosts is more than overkill for a single pair like you. Make sure it's painful." "Like I said earlier, idiot, I have her sacred G." She never finished that word as Issei had punched her in the face, knocking her to the ground. He walked over to her, but before she could get up he put a foot on her right hand and applied pressure to it and spoke. "I'm sorry, what was that again? Something about heals all wounds. Shall we try it out?" When he finished, he applied weight to his foot and twisted his foot, and all that was heard was bones breaking. He took his foot off her hand only for them to see that her wrist was broken and her fingers were twisted in directions that even the supernatural knew were beyond normal. The blood-curdling screams coming from her were enough to wake the dead. Yet it still wasn't enough for him. The dragon ordered it to be painful and Issei was all too eager to oblige. "Go on, heal up your hand, I'll let you do it." He backed away from her as a show of his word. Rainer stood up and took her chance to heal her hand, but found out that all is not what it is cracked up to be. I don't understand, it says it was to heal all things. So why didn't it heal my bones?" She was perplexed as she was told it healed everything. "So did you even bother to talk to Asia about her sacred gear before you stole from her?" She was still trying to heal her hand when she replied, "No, I never needed to speak to her about it." "Well, that explains why you can't heal your bones." He snickered. "Explain before I kill you, low-class trash." She was burning with rage as the constant healing was doing nothing for her hand, yet this boy knew something she didn't. "Oh, you're not going to kill me, but I will be happy to oblige your request. You see, if you had a brain and spoke to her you would know that her gear heals all wounds. It never said anything about bones. If I put a giant hole in your stomach from, say, your light spear, then you could heal it. Nobody ever said anything about broken bones. If they could do all of what it does and heal bones, then that gear would be one of the most valuable gears ever. If Twilight Healing did that, every faction would be turning people over left and right to find anybody with those gears." Rainer was dumbstruck by what she was just told. "Seriously, if you even bothered to talk to the poor girl about how and why she was excommunicated by the church and by extension your old home, you would think they would want to keep her around." Issei walked up to her and whispered in her ear, "You know, in case someone stupid wanted to start a war or some stupid shit like what you're doing right now." Rainer was frozen in shock. Her plan to take the gear was successful, yet other parts had fallen apart. "If anything goes right tonight your master will die tonight." "Oh, so you sent others after them? I think she can handle herself." He ran to her and grabbed her throat with his left hand and started to choke her. As she was gasping for air he repeatedly punched her in the face and ribs. He stopped punching her to speak to her one last time. "One last thing for me, when you see Hades tell him Hi Auto Issei sent you." He punched her one last time in the head, knocking her out cold, and he released his grip on her to let her body flop on the floor. Once Issei sat down on the bench, Asia was on Kiba and Kaneko came out from the underground hatch. "You're late, Casanova, the dance is already over." "That dance was all yours from the start. I was told to stay out of it," Kiba said with a smile. "So it was a solo from the start, well I guess that was good to know." I kinda crushed her hand and knocked her out. "I hope Rias doesn't mind too much." "I don't." Ria's voice was hurt as she and Akeno and To were walking to them. "I must say you did exceed my expectations. To think you are unscathed is quite impressive." As they reached where everybody else was, she looked around to see how the area was. "What can I say, I've been hit harder before. Hell, the dragon hit harder in my dreams." Issei off-candid remark caught Ria's attention, but she chose not to delve further into the subject. "Kaneko, tie up the trash and when she's done Akeno wake her up." Rias gave her orders and to fulfill them. "What about the damage to the church?" Issei asked, knowing that there was extensive damage before they came in. "Normally we would be in trouble, but seeing as all of this was caused by Fallen, we don't have to worry about anything." "Ready," Kaneko said to Rias. "Plus we're on Devil's territory so we don't have to worry too much." "Akeno wake her up." "Yes, but you." Akeno summoned a magic circle above the tied-up Rainer, and out came a massive amount of water and drenched the Fallen. Rias walked over to the now awake Fallen and spoke to her. "Hello Fallen Angel Rainer, I trust you know who I am." "Daughter of Gremory," was all that came from Rainer. "Yes, I am Rias Gremory, next heir to the Gremory clan, and this is my territory that you are on." She delivered her speech with a smile on her face. "My friends will be coming soon and when they deal with you, I'll make sure to find a way to deal with you painfully." She was seething with rage and struggling to get out of the bindings. "Their friends about them, the fallen angels Donaseek Middleton Calwern are right, you don't have to worry about this, I already eliminated them." "Don't lie to me, you whore." She was struggling with more and more to get out of the bindings. "Here, this should be enough proof." 3 feathers appeared in Ria's hand. "I don't think you will argue against this evidence." When Rainer saw the feathers she knew she was done for. "When we found the feathers at the bridge over the waterway we knew something was going on, yet we ignored it for the most part. Then one of you attacked one of my servants while doing a job, we investigated more. And finally, one of the exorcists you had tagged along with your plan killed one of our clients, that is when your death warrants were signed. Before you die I would like to hear it from you what your plan was." "We were to steal Twilight Healing and wait for orders after that," she said with a depressed voice. "It sounds like low lives got a hit of power and went off on their own. Oh well, this is your end." The Gremory clan magic circle appeared underneath Ria's and a ball of magic formed that looked like raw black untamed power snapping at the leash to be let loose. "Goodbye Fallen Angel Rainer." She let her attack free and killed the Fallen, and the backlash of the attack caused Ria's skirt to fly up for a second on the backside. Kiba spoke to Issei about what he was seeing. "That's called the power of destruction. Butchu is a powerful devil and is also known as the crimson-haired ruin princess." Issei nodded at Kiba words. "Rias, I approve of the purple by the way." Rias turned around after grabbing a green ball of light only to see Issei giving her a thumbs up. "I'm glad you approve, however we should deal with giving back Asia back her gear," Rias said with a smile while looking at the corpse that was next to her pawn. "I assume you remember that I have a bishop piece still available. Bring her to the floor over here so we can perform the ritual." "Thank you." Issei was extremely quiet when he spoke and picking up her body. "Right here is fine. Bishops excel in magic and with her sacred gear, she makes a perfect bishop." Rias went to the body and placed the sacred gear into her chest, then the bishop piece. "I Rias Gremory order you. Asia Argento, you shall become my bishop and rejoice in your newfound life." Once the piece sank into her chest, Rias backed away from Asia and she began to breathe once again. After a couple more seconds her eyes began to flutter and once they fully opened she saw Issei kneeling near her. "Issei," she cried out as she went to sit up and hug him. He hugged her back, feeling her tears on his shit. He spoke up. "Welcome back Asia. I'm truly sorry for everything. I hope I can make it up to you one day, but for now, let's go home." End of the here. So that's it for today's video guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.